Justin, how you doing, partner?
Good. How are you, Julian?
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna start off with a pretty funny question, right? So I saw it with a lady friend, and she was like, "Wow, I would be a dream girl if I had to choose between David and Justin." So my first question is, how does it feel to be a hunky stud, romantic comedy drama lead?
It feels incredible. No, I'm. It feels. I don't know. I don't really think about that kind of stuff. I just hope people enjoy the movie, and one of the things I love about the movie is that like audiences do feel pulled to both guys, and I feel like in typical love triangles, sometimes one is a bit of a hero and one is a bit of a villain, and like the audience gets swayed very easily towards one or the other. But I love that our movie kind of allows for both to feel loved.
Well, you'd be happy to know that she was with Team Justin, so.
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the beginning. So this is Ned Benson's baby, writer, director, producer. Talk about how you got involved with him and how you started on the film.
I was sent the script by my team, and it sort of came at a really timely place in my life because I was experiencing some grief of my own with someone I cared about very deeply. And so when I first encountered the script, I was very moved by it. It sort of struck a deep emotional chord. And then I ended up getting on a Zoom with Ned very quickly after. And I just remember immediately just diving into a very heartfelt, deep conversation about our lives and past relationships and grief and all of these things. And it just felt like kismet in many ways. And so after that meeting, I officially came on board, and I knew that Lucy was already attached, and I've been a fan of her work for so long. So I was incredibly excited to be a part of the project.
Wow, brilliant answer, mate. So let's talk about Lucy because, it really all focuses on her and her getting over this horrible tragedy and using music to get past it. So you guys have a great chemistry and there's a sweetness and sadness to it. So talk about making that work. Did you have any rehearsal time? How did that go?
Yeah, absolutely. We were very fortunate to have some rehearsal time before we started filming. We got to talk at length about the characters, about the musical components of the film, about the sci-fi elements of the film. And what was really great about this project was that we were able to shoot somewhat sequentially. So as Lucy and I got to know each other as people, our characters were also getting to know each other in the story. So it sort of followed this natural progression. So I was very thankful for that. And, Lucy, again, as I said, is an incredible actress. So just being in a scene with her, it's very easy for everything to feel real.
Now, your scenes in the film are primarily with her. You don't really have any interaction with her friends and with David. So when you saw the final pieces put together, what was your reaction?
Oh, I was just enraptured by it all. I mean, it's like one of those things that you read on a script and you're always kind of visualizing how it's going to look and feel like. But this far exceeded my expectations when I saw all the pieces come together. And yeah, it was so lovely to see all of David and Lucy's parts, and even Austin and Lucy's parts together. So I thought it turned out wonderful.
Awesome. So let's talk about the music and grind down on that because the music really drives the film, you know, and the different tones is really set by the music that put in there. So when you read the script, were those songs already in there, or was that something that was added after, after they got the rights and all that stuff?
Yeah, surprisingly, most of the songs were in the script already, and I would say most of them were the songs that were used, which again is highly unlikely because oftentimes it's so hard to get rights for certain songs. But most of the songs that were in the original script were in the actual movie, and I don't usually do this, but because it was such a music-centered film, I remember reading the script and it had all the musical titles in there as well, and I remember listening to them as I was reading it, and I really could feel much more of the tone and feel of the movie as I was reading.
Oh, bravo. That's brilliant. One of the things I always ask people, it's a cheesy question, but I like to see what the best day and worst day was for Justin on the set of The Greatest Hits.
Ooh. It's tough to say what the worst day was. I would say one of the tougher days was that day where Lucy's character Harriet is going through the flashback into the antique store, and my parents are there and I'm there, and she's kind of realizing that David has always been there, and that's how she recognized him before. It was the first time we were kind of all together as this large cast, and there was just a lot of moving components that day. The camera had to come in at a certain time. Lucy and David had to move in a certain way at a certain time. I had to enter at a certain time. So kind of coordinating all of those logistics was a bit of a nightmare, but I'm glad we were able to pull it off thanks to our amazing, crew. I would say one of the best days probably was the silent disco night. It was just magical. I mean, to be on top of that Sears building, to be overlooking Los Angeles, it was such a beautiful night. The weather was perfect, and it really just felt like one of those magical moments that you have on a set where everything feels real and alive.
Bravo. All right, so going back to the music, just for our audiences, like what kind of music do you listen to? Like, what makes you happy, what makes you sad? Give us a few songs out there that you like that's on Justin's playlist.
I'm usually a kind of a melancholy music listener. I like to sort of be in my feels most of the time. So these days I've been listening to a lot of Beach House, which is actually featured in our film. And I do love Bruno Major, I love Bon Iver, but in terms of pump up songs and pump up music, I mean, anything by Beyonce will get me there. So I've always been a part of the Beehive, huge fan of it.
The Beehive will like to hear that. All right, so here's a question from the metrics department. And so basically, I guess Umbrella Academy is coming to an end with this last season, right? And you probably can't say much about it, but what nuggets can you give to our audience that'll make them pumped to see the finale?
What I can say was it's going to be a very emotional and impactful final season. I think fans will be given a good sense of closure with the story and with our characters. I think it's a beautiful send-off to the show. And I think particularly for Ben, my character, there have been a lot of questions that have been brewing over the last few seasons about things that have happened to Ben, mysteries surrounding Ben. And I think some of those things will finally be revealed in the final season.
Awesome. Yeah. Excitement is at a fever pitch, I'll tell you. The online audience is looking forward to it. All right. So as we come to the end of the interview, let's grind down about your career and the future. I loved After Yang, and this film is completely different, but it has the dealing with grief theme. So, let's grind down about that. Is that something, you were facing a loss, you were saying, but is that something that you're continually interested in? Is this dealing with grief?
That's a good question. I mean, I actually didn't connect the two, but you're right. They do both kind of explore grief in their own kind of ways. I don't know. I don't think I'm like intentionally trying to look for projects that explore grief, but those two beautiful projects, this one and After Yang, kind of happened to come into my life in these sort of poignant moments and seasons. And I'm excited to continue to explore more themes as well, and some stuff on the docket that I'm excited about.
I mean, can you give us any hints about what you're doing next?
I'll be doing a film next. I actually don't know if I can say anything. I'm shaking up head, so I can't say anything about it.
Fair enough. All right, Justin. So they're giving me the wrap notice, but is there anything you want to tell our audience about the film that you'd like them to know about?
I would just love our audience to have a good time watching it. I mean, I think these kinds of films about love and romance and grief, they're a bit from a slightly bygone era, and I'm so glad that our film kind of gets to bring it back. And if you want a little love, if you want a little cry, I hope that this movie provides that for you.
Bravo. Thanks, man. Team Justin.
Thank you so much. So great talking to you.